what a day. The sun is shining brightly, cock-a-doo sunny day. Alright, I'm gonna stop singing. During the late 1980s, animator Don Bluth decided to set out and do something that even Disney failed to do. Make an animated feature based on the Edmund Rostand comedy Chanticleer. Originally, back in the early days of Disney animation, Walt and his team tried hard to create an animated adaptation for decades, but the plans ultimately got cancelled because the ideas were just not good enough. The only things that are left from the project are these artworks by Mark Davis. Back onto Bluth, he had a plan to make this film by mixing live action with his signature animation, inspired by what was done in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. However, by the time the film came out, it turned out to be a flop both critically and financially, on top of initiating a dark era of Don's career during the first half of the 1990s. But now that Chanticleer is ready to perform on this stage, will he be able to make this movie shine as bright as the sun? Or is this Bluth's most tone-deaf film? Let's find out. The story. Okay, maybe this would count more as a loose adaptation, especially when Chanticleer is more of a MacGuffin than the actual star. What this movie is actually about is a little boy who turned into an animated cat named Edmund who joins Chanticleer's friends in order to find him in the big city so that his crow can stop the storm. Maybe there could be worse cases, but this has got to be the most oversimplified movie ever created. What I mean is that the most effort it would spend is to tone it down to where it feels like it assumes its audience is completely brain dead. This is where the movie has some major issues. It doesn't give any time for its viewers to figure out what is going on in a scene, even when it's clearly obvious, and would cram in narrations by the old dog Patu where he would explain everything that's going on so that the audience doesn't have to do any of the thinking themselves.
Now, I got to admit, as bad guys go, the Duke's nephew, Hunch, was more a hoot than he was horrible.
Oh, boy.
But still, he was a nuisance. And as we were tied up at the moment, we weren't all that happy to see him.
There are also times when the narration can even ruin some moments, but I'll save that criticism for later. And yet, with all the explanations, the only thing it doesn't explain is why the sun came out that one time when Chanticleer didn't crow. Like, that would seem like a really important factor on how Chanticleer's powers work, or if he even had any. But nope, it's only an excuse for why Chanticleer left the farm. Well, there goes that piece of consistency. With all that said, these factors would play into the reason why this movie has a serious tone problem. It tries too hard to pander exclusively to children with not just the narrations clarifying everything, but also through the acting and slapstick comedy where it strangely feels like it doesn't have anything to say and becomes joyfully infantile. Which is honestly shocking to say when this is coming from a director who is well known for implementing strong themes with dark and melancholy tones. As a result, the film is left with a kids movie that would play a little too safe with no surprises and charm that can wear off very quickly. The story from this film is a very prominent example of something that is all talk and no show. The animation. Well, it is a Don Bluth movie, so I will give it that it does deliver some strong animation. At the very least, it is visually pleasing and can bring out some form of entertainment to have it be engaging. Probably the best work done here is with the character animation, where the movements are consistently smooth and present some strong choreography in the musical numbers. On top of that, they can also make some of the action scenes kind of fun to watch. Sure, there can be some elements that mess things up, but at least those parts are fun and sometimes creative with the visuals alone. However, there is one catch with the animation. It's a very rare case, but this is one of those movies where the animation has a strong execution from a weak concept. The problem is that when looking into the ideas of who these characters are and where they go, they enter into territories of a stereotypical cartoon. Think about it. This movie is set on a farm. The characters are anthropomorphic animals, and they go to the big city. With the direction it would go, it might as well be in black and white and the characters have rubber hose animation. But again, it is thanks to the talented artists and animators that were able to take these generic concepts and make the most out of them, especially when giving the designs a polished and Disney-esque look and the backgrounds a lot of details. That's where we get to see the farm become so bright and colorful, where the city feels grand as it covers itself with flashy neon lights, and where the Grand Duke's lair is dark and ominous. But then there's the element that inspired Bloof to do this, the mix of live action and animation. I will say right now that the use of it is very minimal here. Like, those moments only appear at the beginning before Edmund turns into a cat, and the end when everything is over. But when those scenes do show up,
Shine, sun to shine. Well, my daddy taught me how to sing.
they get bad. Like, laughably bad. I think it's safe to say that this ain't no Roger Rabbit. The animation may not offer much conceptually, but at least the execution can bring out something strong in this. The characters. Want to know another reason why this feels like it has such a juvenile tone? It's because of the characters and how they tried to deliver disgustingly cutesy acting. Seriously, the big issue with many of these characters is that their voice actors bring out an over-the-top performance where they feel like they're mostly talking down to their audience. It doesn't help either that they're writtenly one-dimensional with little to no offer to the story. Now let's go and start off with the worst and most annoying character of the feature, Edmund. Throughout the whole movie, all he does is oversell on the cuteness to the point of becoming obnoxious. And the addition of being played by a kid whose acting skills are lacking makes him partly responsible for the experience of watching this feel tedious.
No, Pachoo, that's not how it goes for the 100th time. It's over, around, under, and through. That's how Pachoo ties his shoe.
It doesn't help either that the ones accompanying Edmund are also a pain. There's Patou, who gets annoying with his narrations and his tiresome running gag of tying his shoes, Peepers, a know-it-all mouse, and Snipes, a misogynistic magpie. As for the rooster himself, Chanticleer, I'll give him that I can see how he can be a well-built character with some development, but he was way too underused in the movie that's supposed to be about him. There is also Goldie, who is just Chanticleer's love interest, but the way she is designed is like if you take Princess Daphne from Dragon's Lair and then give her a beak and Vegas clothing so that people would be both aroused and confused by her until they ultimately realize,
Jeepers! I'm a furry!
if I do have to pick one good character among this cast, I would have to go with the Grand Duke of Owls. Sure, he has some generic henchmen like his dumb nephew Hunch and the cold-hearted director Pinky, but the Duke does have some good wit and charisma while presenting himself as a serious threat, all packaged with a brilliant performance by Christopher Plummer. Yes, he may be a strong point for this film, but it doesn't change how the rest of the cast deliver more headaches than enjoyment. The songs. One thing to note about this film is that there is a hint of an Elvis theme, and the most prominent use of that is through the songs. Many of them would emulate the 1950s style rock and roll that would feature a swinging feeling along with a cheesy tone that is all about love. Of course, there would be a few that would go in a different direction, like the country-themed Sun Do Shine or the villainous We Hate the Sun. Let's take a listen to a few to know what I'm talking about.
Well, my daddy taught me how to sing, and that's why this voice means everything. Sun do. We all had our jobs.
Hold on, let me get a better one.
Rock-A-Doodle through the night. I wanna rock till the morning light. Well,
Fortunately for us,
Patou! Hold on!
Love has said hello. You don't know what that means. Really means to me.
I think
Okay, that's it! See, this is what's wrong with Patou's narrating. It's hard to even consider this a musical because the movie is more interested in explaining what is happening on screen than to let the musical numbers play out on their own. And the sad thing about this is that, admittedly, some of these songs aren't that bad. By themselves, they can be enjoyable in that corny Elvis way. But these explainers are like sitting next to a very talkative person where you want to enjoy the film, but their chatter is ruining the moment and all you want to do is yell, "Shut up!" The only time a song can be fully played without Patoo's interruptions would be the ones that last for like 15 seconds.
Twiddly-dee,
Twiddly-dee,
they're running out.
they're running out
They're running out of batteries. No batteries.
Yeah, that's another thing. There are others that would have lyrics so bad that you're not sure either to laugh or be embarrassed about. I mean, what other movie where their villain songs would have such bone-chilling verses like Tweedledee and Fa-la-la-la-la-la? It's not that the songs are terrible, it's just that the movie sucks at being a musical. Rock-A-Doodle would have to be one of, if not the worst film from Don Bluth. Yeah, it does have some solid animation and a pretty good villain, but they're not enough to salvage this movie from being entirely unpleasant with a weak story, embarrassing use of mixing live action with animation, obnoxious characters, a highly childish tone, and musical numbers that don't even want to be musical numbers. Honestly, my recommendation is just to skip this one. We all know there are better films out there that do the live action animation mix, and there are certainly better Don Bluth films out there, so I'd suggest to just go with those ones instead of this. Maybe one day we'll have a good animated Chanticleer movie, but this one certainly ain't it. And regardless if Chanticleer crows or not, the AniMat's seal of garbage will shine on this film. Hey guys, this is AniMat, and if I could take a moment to be very honest with you guys, if you would go and ask me what would be the absolute worst movie made by Don Bluth, like the worst one that would have his credits in there as a director, then I would actually go with Rock-A-Doodle. Now, I know that many others would beg to differ, and they would go and select a few other Don Bluth movies to be in that rank, like to actually have that title, rather it be stuff like Thumbelina or even, of course, A Troll in Central Park. But I would go and argue that with those movies, they actually do have they actually have elements that would actually make them a whole lot better and even a whole lot more enjoyable than Rock-A-Doodle. Like with Thumbelina, yeah, it really is trying a little too hard to be like Disney, but you cannot deny that the animation is absolutely beautiful with the craftsmanship that they have done in there. But whereas with A Troll in Central Park, on the other hand, like sure, that movie is extremely stupid, but it is stupid to the point that you can actually have a lot of fun with it. It's like so stupid, it's really enjoyable. Where with Rock-A-Doodle, on the other hand, with this one, yeah, the animation is good, but it doesn't necessarily feel like a true Don Bluth movie, and it's really going outside of his style of what he would normally bring out, and it just feels less good in a way. I guess it's not that easy to describe, but it feels a lot less Don Bluth with what he's trying to pull off with Rock-A-Doodle, and especially with the embarrassing attempt of mixing live action with animation. And then also, of course, like the stupidity aspect, honestly with that film, it's not as stupid as A Troll in Central Park, which can be viewed as a good thing, but it's not stupid enough to be enjoyable. It's just the kind of stupid where it's like, it's just bad. It's not like horrible, but it's just like unenjoyably bad in that sense. And honestly, like, in terms of what I did with my review, I understand if many of you might not actually enjoy the way that I also brought up the old joke of Edmund said that, "Jeepers, I'm a furry!" Yeah, like, I understand if you didn't like that joke and if you think that joke is getting old now, but if I could be very honest, after watching Rock-A-Doodle, I still like that joke. I still like using that old gag of "Jeepers, I'm a furry," because honestly, the thought of Edmund saying that he is actually a furry is a lot more enjoyable than anything that I actually got out of the movie. So that's why I end up using it, because at least I would have more fun that way than experiencing the film again. So yeah, overall, I just have to say that Rock-A-Doodle would have to be the worst Don Bluth film that is out there, or at least I feel like is the worst Don Bluth film. So maybe you guys enjoy it, and yeah, that's cool and all, but yeah, Rock-A-Doodle ain't for me. I'm going back to the 80s and stuff like that if I really want to have a true Don Bluth experience. That or Anastasia, because that movie is also great. But anyways, enough about Rock-A-Doodle, because that thing is all over right now, and it's now time that we shall go and move on to a Patreon request. And this time, this one is actually going to be coming from Thomas Richardson. So I just want to start off by saying that if you guys would like to be like Thomas and you want to go and support my work and get some amazing rewards at the same time, including seeing my videos before anyone else, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. But at the same time, if you guys would like to suggest an animated film you would like me to go and review and I would put onto the animation hat, then all you have to do is write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. So, with all that said and done, what is it that Thomas went and suggested me to go and review? Well, interestingly enough, he actually asked me to do a special request where he wanted me to read something to you guys where he wants to go and give you guys the hint. That's what he told me. So I'm going to go and read this right now. I actually got it right here on my phone. So it states here, "Hi Matt, hope you are having a great day. This requested review is payback for Fievel Goes West for giving a 6 out of 10 rather than a 7 or an 8 or hell, even a 9. I mean, come on dude, 6 out of 10 isn't that bad. But anyways, I was expecting I was a bit Phantom Menace that, maybe he meant I admit, but anyways, I was expecting I was a bit Phantom Menace that night. Therefore, I request you to review, oh no. Oh no. Oh crap. Therefore, I request you to review In Search of the Titanic, or also known as Chanticleer. You have done Legend of the Titanic, so you need to finish this movie since you have watched it, and I hate this movie too, so you need to destroy this. Well, ladies and gentlemen, coming soon, AniMat's classic reviews of Chanticleer.
Assassin, terror of the sea. Yeah, the terror sea, that was me. You all know why, and that's no lie.